Thank you for joining us in another session of Thursday's Faith Refresher. Tonight, we continue with the series on contemporary ideologies, and we will discuss gender ideologies. I guess everyone here will agree with me that this is a hot button topic that has spawned heated discussions and sadly widespread confusion. However, as Christians, we know that we are called to seek the truth with compassion, understanding, and love. We are very fortunate tonight to have a resource speaker who will help us understand these gender ideologies better. Our speaker is with Courage, which is a Catholic apostolate for persons with same-sex attraction and gender identity concerns. He joined Courage in 2014 and was its president from 2016 to 2022. He is an active speaker of the CBCP Episcopal Commission on Family and Life on the topic of homosexuality and chastity. He also hosts a YouTube podcast produced by the CBCP Media Office entitled Be Not Afraid, which seeks to listen to stories of LGBT persons journeying through their Catholic faith. He holds a Master of Arts degree in theology, magna cum laude, from the Don Bosco School of Theology, an affiliate of the Pontifical Salesian University in Rome. He is a marketing professional. He lectures on pastoral accompaniment of LGBT persons to seminarians of San Carlos Seminary in Manila and Cebu. He is also a part-time theology professor of De La Salle College of St. Benilde. So please help me, everyone here in the session, to welcome Mr. Edwin Valles. Edwin, you have the room.
Thank you for inviting me over. No? I'm happy to be here with you tonight. No? So the topic is gender ideology, and as introduced, no, so I belong to the Courage Apostolate. Yeah, so the Courage Apostolate, just briefly, no, is Catholic apostolate for persons with same-sex attraction and gender identity concerns. No, so it's fake news that the church does not care, no, so or reject or abandon LGBTQ plus persons. No, so the expression of the church of the deep love of the church for LGBTQI plus persons can be found in the Courage Apostolate. So it started off in 1980. So just a brief background on who we are. In New York City, no? So at the time, late 70s, early 80s was the time when HIV/AIDS started to explode in the US. And initially, the medical community thought it was gay cancer, no? Because it seems to be affecting the gay members of the population. So from that darkness, no, so from that health crisis, the Archbishop of New York discerned that he wanted to provide an accompaniment group for the members of his flock, no, so who are gays, no. So he invited Father John Harvey to start off Courage. So Father John Harvey at the time was a retired priest who is a moral theologian and who's also a counselor. No? So he has journeyed with and accompanied mga gay persons, including gay priests. No? So in his active priestly career. In the Philippines, Courage started in 1995. No? So next year will be our 30th anniversary. And by canonical status, no, so how we are as in the church hierarchy is that we are a diocesan clerical public association. So diocesan, a bishop needs to approve the setting up of a Courage chapter in his diocese. And clerical, it is a priestly apostolate. No? So it is the priests who accompany us and guide us. No? So even if I were the president for 7 years, I'm not the one guiding them. No? So because just like my Courage brothers and sisters, I continue to struggle with same-sex attraction. No? So I cannot be a blind person leading a blind person. No? So why do I have to mention this? No, so I'm giving this topic not because I read a book or I asked AI to generate this PowerPoint. No, so I'm talking about this topic based on my lived experience as a gay man. No, so I was active in the gay lifestyle for 22 years before I joined Courage. This is also my pastoral work. No, so since I joined Courage, I've been journeying with LGBTQI plus persons, including thought errors. No, so yung ideological tendencies. No, so ayan. I'd like to begin, no, so with Pope Francis himself. No, so we all know that Pope Francis is very compassionate, no, so and very understanding of LGBTQI plus persons, no, so but simultaneously he also consistently warns us against the danger of gender theory. No, so I like to say, so he's been interviewed several times. So I just would like to mention one paragraph that he dedicated from Amoris Laetitia that describes for us, no, so the what it is and the dangers that it gives us, no. So this can be found in paragraph 56, no, and he says, no, so yet another challenge is posed by the various forms of an ideology of gender that denies the difference in reciprocity in nature of a man and a woman and envisages a society without sexual differences, thereby eliminating the anthropological basis of the family. This ideology leads to educational programs and legislative enactments that promote a personal identity and emotional intimacy radically separated from the biological difference between male and female. Consequently, human identity becomes the choice of the individual, one which can also change over time. It is a source of concern that some ideologies of this sort, which seek to respond to what are at times understandable aspirations, manage to assert themselves as absolute and unquestionable, even dictating how children should be raised. No? So I'd like to highlight lang yung dangers of gender theory in the words of Pope Francis. It eliminates the anthropological basis of the family. So kung walang male and female, then what is the basis of family? No? So and then second, the gender ideology itself comes with educational programs and legislative enactments that promote a personal identity and emotional intimacy radically separated from the biological difference between male and female. No? So there is that education and legislation agenda component of this ideology. And then it promotes individualism. And then the fourth, no, so in this first section of that paragraph, is that it is manifested as a propaganda. No? So very interesting na yung mga LGBTQI who clamor for inclusion. No? So when you engage them in this discussion, they tend to be very close. No? So they're not open to dialogue. So this is the first part. So the second part, Francis continues, no? So it needs to be emphasized that biological sex and the social cultural role of sex can be distinguished but not separated. On the other hand, the technological revolution in the field of human procreation has introduced the ability to manipulate the reproductive act, making it independent of the sexual relationship between a man and a woman. In this way, human life and parenthood have become modular and separate realities, subject mainly to the wishes of individuals or couples. It is one thing to be understanding of human weakness and the complexities of life, and another to accept ideologies that attempt to sunder what are inseparable aspects of reality. No? So again, to highlight yung dangers, so aside from the four that we mentioned previously, there is that danger of dualism, so separating biological sex with social-cultural role of sex or gender. And then there's also that Pope Francis calls this out, no, in gender ideology, as another manifestation of contraceptive mentality. No? So I remember Courage holds its annual conference in the US. No? So there was one time in such annual conference, they invited a pro-life lawyer to give a talk. No? So and he was saying that in the US, the same legal justification, no, so for Roe versus Wade, no, so the separation of the sexual act between the sexual act itself and its result of procreation is the same logic that was used to have the Supreme Court approve same-sex marriage in 2015. No? So pareho yung logic. No? So Pope Francis rightly calls it out as a manifestation of contraceptive mentality. No? So in separating the sexual act from creation and even the personhood. No? So yung the body realities of the couple. So yeah, so that's the second part. And then the third part, Pope Francis says, no, so let us not fall into the sin of trying to praise the Creator. We are creatures and not omnipotent. Creation is prior to us and must be received as a gift. At the same time, we are called to protect our humanity, and this means, in the first place, accepting it and respecting it as it was created. No? So, laging ina-accuse si Pope Francis na hindi siya very clear, no? So in his proclamations, but this is as clear as it can get, no? So when he talks about the dangers of gender ideology, so again, danger in gender ideology is to put the person over creator, no? So and then to put the person over creation. So yeah. So I begin with that, no? So this is what Pope Francis says, no, or sees and warns us against gender ideology, no. So what exactly is this gender theory, no? So normally, so when I give this, I just skip to the most current version, no? But because this is a formation on contemporary ideologies and thought errors, no, so I thought I would walk you through the historical development of the model, no. So I've been giving this talk for the past 10 years or parang something similar, no? So when I started giving this talk, this was the first iteration, no, that we have, no? So according to this model, yung primitive version of the model, every human person has three characteristics that are distinct but also related, no? So and yung three parameters na yan are biological sex, gender identity, and sexual orientation. No? Any of these three can be classified as either male or female. No? So to illustrate yung, for example, yung lesbian, so a lesbian person is yung biological sex is female, yung gender identity is male or female. No? So you should not be surprised na we see women in same-sex couples, in same-sex relationship na hindi naman mukhang what we stereotypically would describe a tomboy to be, no? So, kasi nga, merong mga female-identified lesbians, no? So, but what is common between a male-identified and a female-identified lesbian is that both of them are attracted to another female, no? So, yung sexual orientation nila is female, no? So, for gays, are gay person, so biological sex male, yung traditional understanding natin of gay na very effeminate, no? So, or possibly yung female gender identity, no? So, yan, no? But not all gays are like that, no? So, in fact, there are many gays who are male identified, no? So, when I was active in the gay lifestyle, I did not identify myself as female, no? So, I identified myself as male, no? So, but I'm attracted to another male, no? So, if in the past nakikita ang mga bakla sa parlor, ngayon nakikita na rin sila sa gym, no? So they present themselves to be very masculine, really good looking, no? So very very muscular, no? But whether male identified or female identified, they're attracted to another male, no? So yun yung first set. So LG, no? So and then pagdating sa B, so yung next will be bisexual, no? So bisexual man is biological sex male, gender identity male, and then sexual orientation is either male or female, no? So kung baga yung first pair, yung lesbian and gay, yung either or is the gender identity, no? So whereas yung bisexual, yung either or is the sexual orientation, no? So I mean just to show yung relationship between the two pairs, no? So yeah, so LGB. So, and then yung T, transgender, no? So, trans man is biological sex female, gender identity male, yung sexual orientation niya will be towards female, and then trans woman, biological sex male, will undergo operation, no? So, and then because he wants to align his body to his gender identity, so yung gender identity as female, sexual orientation male. And then LGBT, so yung QI, so yung queer, intersex, no? So, maybe just to illustrate the point, to force fit the point into this model, no? So it's like yung intersex is like all of the above, and yung queer is yung they don't want to be identified, no? So they don't want to be boxed. Parang none of the above ang reply nila, no? Ayan, so it's LGBTQI, no? So plus. So this was the very very primitive model, and that's why yung bill sa Congress, for example, is known as SOGI bill, because it's a sexual orientation and gender identity equality bill, no? So yun, parang it's based on this particular model, no? So as the years went by, no, so they modified this, no, so trying to capture the the spectrum of experiences of LGBTQI plus persons. No? So yung next model from this is what is known as the genderbread person. No? So version 2.0. No? So kung kanina there were yung earlier model had 3 parameters. So ito 4 na naging 4. No? So and yung 4 na yan again are related but also distinct. No? So they change. So yung mga changes from the previous model is they've split yung gender identity between gender identity and gender expression. No? Gender identity is more internal and then gender expression is more external. No? So for example, ako or some gay men, they identify themselves as male but they might express themselves in effeminate ways, no? So, but still, in gender identity nila is male, no? So that is possible. So, yun yung first change nila. They moved from 3 to 4. So they made distinction between gender identity and gender expression. The second change that they did is hindi na siya either or, no? So yung previous model is male or female, yung kumbaga naka-binary format siya. Ito naka-vector format na siya. No? So what they're proposing is that yung person na to is not just either male or female, but can be womaness or maness, but it's a range. No? So I can be, for example, I can be 3 gender identity man, 2 gender expression female, diba? And so on and so forth. No? So parang so range na siya. So it's a vector. So it's a leaning towards and it's a range. No? So hindi siya fixed value. And then biological sex and then sexual attraction. No? Yun yung 2 changes that they did. No? But when this model came out, yung mga members ng community complained, no? Bakit din daw yung icon natin? No? So mukha siyang lalaki. Genderbread person, it has a bias towards males. They demanded that this gender ideology, to capture everyone's experience, will adopt an icon that represents everyone. No? So, pili nila is a fictitious animal. No? So what is known as a gender unicorn. We now go to, again, key points on the human person or the Christian understanding of the human person. No? So your anchor passage can be found in Genesis 1 verse 27. No? God created mankind in his own image. He created them. So a human person is made in the image and likeness of God. No? So and that is the source of dignity of every human person. And such person made in the image and likeness of God has 2 modalities. No? So there's a male modality and a female modality. And then the other key point on Christian understanding of the human person is that a human person is both body and soul. They can be distinct, but they cannot be separated. No? So truly one. No? So there's convergence or oneness or unity between the body and soul. And then the fourth key point, no? So on Christian anthropology is the story of sin and redemption. No? So all of us have original sin. No? So we all have tendencies towards sin. No? But the more important news, the more important good news is that Jesus Christ has redeemed all of us. No? So siguro yung mga 4 points. No? As a personal interest, no, for example, and also as part of my theological thesis, no, I read through yung iba't ibang yung tinatawag na queer theology. No? So yung iba't ibang proposals that are influenced by gender ideology. And what I find out is usually, mga models that they propose, no? So even theological models that they propose in trying to include LGBTQI into the picture, merong error in any of these 4. No? For example, no? So they can say na, everyone is born perfect. That if you have same-sex attraction, God made you that. No? So there could be problem with yung number 2, but also yung number 4. When you say who you are, ano bang part yan? No? Is that in part or is that really how God created you to be? No? And so on and so forth. No? And then some of the queer theologians, no, yung mga LGBTQI plus persons or gender ideologists, they claim that we can never find a passage in the Gospels when Jesus Christ condemned homosexuality, no? So, or lesbianism, etc. No? That is partly true, no? Kasi yung teaching naman ng simbahan is not articulated as a no, no? So it is articulated as a yes, no? So what Jesus Christ did, no? What we can find in the Gospels is that Jesus Christ affirmed the Genesis passage, no? So we can find that in Matthew 9, verse 4, but also in Mark, no? The Gospel last Sunday is about this. When Jesus Christ was asked about his opinion in divorce, gina-justify ng mga Pharisees, no? But Moses was the one who allowed it, no? So, and then Jesus Christ said, because of the hardness of your heart. But this is not so from the beginning. And then Jesus Christ went back and reaffirmed and confirmed yung Genesis passage, no? Made them male and female. So I said, yung teaching ng simbahan is a positive, no? Hindi siya parang like a series of no's, no? So mali yan, no? But the teaching is that, no? God created the human person, male and female, He created them. Comparing yung Christian understanding of the human person and LGBTQI perspective on the human person, no? So ito siguro yung model, no, of the Christian understanding of the human person. No? Primacy of the person, primacy of the personhood. Every person is made in the image and likeness of God, male and female created them. So, and then that sin and redemption story, you know, the church recognizes that even if all of us were created in God's image and likeness, no, so because of original sin, we have negative inclinations, no, so tendencies of attractions or feelings. And then from such negative inclination, so both positive and negative, but from such negative inclination, no, so there is that action, no? So yung choice whether to act or not to act on that inclination. No? For example, yung word na homosexual, no? So yung word na homosexual as an adjective, it can describe a person. So there's a homosexual person. So the church teaches that homosexual person, like any human person, is made in the image and likeness of God. No? So walang mali doon sa homosexual person that way, from that perspective. When we talk about yung homosexual inclination is described as an objectively disordered. It does not mean that it's a mental health issue. No? Yung language na is theological. No? So it just tells us that yung inclination na yon is not according to the ordered will of God to sexuality. No? So kaya siya tinabag na objectively disordered. But in itself, it's not a sin. No? If I have spontaneous homosexual inclination, no? It does not make me automatically a sinner. No? It's just part of my weaknesses. It's just part of my negative inclination because of my original sin or my fallen nature. No? And then when we talk about homosexual action, that is the one where the church declares to be a sin, no? Or intrinsically evil. That's what the Catechism says. No? I hope it's very clear. No? So yung distinction between person, inclination, and action. And the church teaches na yung primacy of person. No? The action, neither the action nor the inclination can define who the human person is. No? So the human person is always bigger than one's inclination and one's action. No? Whereas, no, yung gender ideology, the model that it presents to us, no, ang reading nila sa human person is the reverse. No? Sa kanila, very important yung attraction or inclination mo and or yung gender identity mo. And one's personhood is subsumed, no? Is a sub-factor of who that person is, yung personhood niya. So what drives everything about that person is that he is either gay or she is a lesbian or a transgender, etc., etc. So yung personhood is subsumed on one sexual attraction or inclination or gender identity. So this is the reason why yung the Catholic Church, no, so cannot really support or participate in gay pride, no, so gay pride activities, no, so kasi yung gay pride kasi champions, no, so this gender ideology, and it champions yung understanding of the person na a person who is subsumed by his or her sexual attraction or inclination and or gender identity. From the Catholic perspective, from the Christian perspective, it is an erroneous understanding of the human person. No? So a leader of Catholic Church will participate in gay pride activities. No? It's like acknowledging, no, so na parang yes, it's possible that one's personhood can be subsumed in one's sexual attraction or gender identity. And as early as 1986, no, so the Vatican already warns against this. No? This is taken from the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, no, in 1986, issued a letter to the bishops of the Catholic Church and the pastoral care of human persons. It was prepared by the then CDF head Joseph Cardinal Ratzinger and signed by Pope John Paul II. No? In one paragraph of that document, it says, the human person, made in the image and likeness of God, can hardly be adequately described by a reductionist reference to his or her sexual orientation. Today, the Church provides a badly needed context for the care of the human person when the Church refuses to consider the person heterosexual or homosexual and insists that every person has a fundamental identity, the creature of God, and by grace, his child and heir to eternal life. No? So very clear, no? So yung mga labels na heterosexual, homosexual, ganyan. So these are secular words, no? Sinasabi dito, dapat wala siyang space sa Catholic language or Catholic thought, no? Kaya ko lang sinasabi siya kasi parang like, because this is now the language of the world. But parang from the understanding of the Church on the human person, hindi siya categories, no? So kasi nga, yung every person has a fundamental identity, creature of God and his child and heir to eternal life. Ultimately, yung sense of identity of every Christian, that we are all children of God. No? Why is this important? Because being begets doing, identity defines destiny. No? Divine filiation is a big topic. No? And I say this because this is also part of my personal journey. No? So as I said earlier, I was active in the gay lifestyle. No? So I came from an all-boys Catholic school, so I knew naman the teaching. No? So but for most of my adult life, so in my parang 20s and 30s, I identified myself as gay. No? So siguro as a bit of a sharing. No? So yung pag-out ng isang gay or LGBTQ plus person is, I could describe it as a personal victory. No? So to be able to own up to it, it really feels liberating. No? And that was my experience. Yung living in the closet, no, denying that was a very bad feeling. No? So it would generate depressive thoughts. No? So on my part, no? Kumbaga, is a personal victory, no, to be able to embrace, no, so yung lived experience na yun. No? So when I was living that, no, so when I identified myself as gay, no, but despite that, my Catholic faith is important to me. No? So I would still attend, for example, means of formation and my annual retreat. No, I would go to mass every Sunday. Very important yun to me. No? So and to the best of my abilities, no, so I do my best naman to live a life faithful to the teachings of the Church. No? So but whenever I try to be faithful, no, so by not committing homosexual acts, no, so because I was gay identified, I identified myself as gay. Feeling ko, if I'm trying to be faithful to the teachings of the Church, I'm depriving myself of who I am. So, kasi nga, I identified myself as gay. Because identity defines destiny nga. So, this went on for many years. In my annual retreat, I consider that my Mount Tabor moment of the year. No? So, it's like a spiritual highlight. I never talk about my struggles with homosexuality during spiritual direction. No? So, kasi feeling ko baka hindi na ako pabalik in the next year, no? Mabano ko or whatever. No? So, I had that irrational fear. But I think in my late 30s, no, I had the grace to open up to it in spiritual direction. No? So I remember it was Father Jerry Quijada who was the retreat master at the time. So I told him, Father, my problem is that I'm a homosexual. No? So kala ko, kukuha siya ng Bible, pupunta siya dun sa passage ng Sodom and Gomorrah and babasahan niya ako ng passage na yun. No? So, but I was surprised that what Father Jerry told me, no? So again, yung idea of divine filiation. No? So sabi niya sa akin, Edwin, you're not a homosexual, you're a son of God. No? So from that point onwards, I meditated, no? So I reflected on what it means to be a son of God. And again, by God's grace, I was made to understand that a son of God, no, strives to be faithful to the teachings of the Church. A son of God strives to grow in virtues, no? So to be conformed to the Son of God Himself, Jesus Christ. No? So therefore, if I am a son of God who has same-sex attraction, no? So if I will strive not to commit homosexual act, no? So I'm not actually depriving myself of who I am. No? In fact, I am fulfilling my destiny as a son of God. No? So growing in holiness and pursuing sanctification. No? So yeah, so yun yung an example, no, so how identity defines destiny, no. So and I'm sharing na yung deep and true identity natin as children of God was instrumental in my embracing, no, teaching of the church, no. So, all right. So ultimately, yung goal will be conformity to the Son of God Himself. No? So, and then this is a quote from Isaiah. Yeah, but that's only the first part. No? Clearly, it's a thought error, yung gender ideology, this mountain of gender ideology parang as an issue within the church. No? So, gender ideology, and so are these things. No? So, objectively disordered, lustfulness, Sodom and Gomorrah, false identity, etc. No? While clearly it is a thought error, no? But we realize, encourage, no? So na yung LGBTQI plus experience is much more than these, no? So, than all of these, no? So, it's like an iceberg, no? So, yes, it is a thought error, but para yung lived experience of LGBTQI plus persons is much more, no? So, goes deeper than a thought error, no? So, that's why it's quite important para to distinguish, no? Kasi itong part na to, we are addressing the mind, no? So, it's that thought error. Therefore, we might conclude that the best approach is to correct them. No? So, pag na-correct na yung error na yon, they will convert, no? Or so they will align their lives to the church. Yung homosexuality, LGBTQI plus person is really more a matter of the heart. No? So there is an article written by an advisor of Courage. No? So he's a doctor. Ang title ng article niya is Homosexuality is a Symptom of a Broken Heart. No? So kaya it's quite important to understand, no? So para mas maging holistic tayo when it comes to dealing with this thought error na parang it has to be a combination of truth and love, no? So for us to better understand this submerged part and the more substantial part of the iceberg, I like lang to walk you through some parang 4 concepts, no? So first, starting off from the catechism. The catechism describes for us what sexuality is. No, so we can find that in paragraph 2332. So it says sexuality affects all aspects of the human person in the unity of his body and soul. It especially concerns affectivity and the capacity to love and to procreate, and in a more general way, the aptitude for forming bonds of communion with others. No, so when the church uses these words to describe sexuality, it emphasizes, no, na parang sexuality is a matter of the heart, no? So affection, capacity to love, aptitude for forming bonds, no? So yung human connection, no? Yung sexuality, para sinasabi na hindi lang siya thought, no? So hindi lang siya rationality, no? So hindi lang siya parang it's not just a matter of a thought error. So for example, homosexuality is not just a thought error, no, but it is actually an affective concern, no. So maybe an incapacitation of love, no. So or maybe yung not enough aptitude of forming bonds, no. So according to the ordered will of God, no? So yeah, paragraph 232. Another point, no? So this is the first concept. The second concept is about human formation. So when we talk about formation, no, so there, parang we can look at it. So this is one model, no. So this is a tripod model, no. So when we form human persons, no, so dapat we have to focus our attention on 3 equally important aspects of their formation. So there's that cognitive aspect, so intellectual. There's also that behavioral aspect, how we behave, and then there's also that affective emotional aspect. So if we talk about the role of parents as the first formators of kids, yung parents should not just focus on cognitive formation, behavioral formation. They should give as much importance and time and effort towards effectively forming their children. So this is a second concept. And the third concept, when we talk about brain development, brain intellect, heart, anong role ng brain sa affectivity, no? So this is a picture of brain development and developed by brain scientists, no? So and then at every stage of the brain development, they articulate, no? So what the child going through that stage needs. No? So off the bat, so yung first part of the brain that develops is yung brainstem. So off the bat, sabi dito, hindi siya rational, no? So hindi yung parang I need to find where my mother's nipple is, no? So or something like that so that I can feed, no? So I need to sense where hindi gano'n, no? So hindi siya or I need to understand that when I feel something funny in my stomach, I should cry, no? So yung need when the brain cell develops is actually help me feel emotionally and physically safe, no? So off the bat, there is already that affective need, no? So when the brain is developing, the most basic part of the brain is developing, no? So progressively, yung presence of the parents is quite important, no? So that is when kids or infants will know that they are loved, no? So and then yung sa temporal lobe, so birth to 6 years, 8 months to 2 years, sabi dito, respond in consistent ways, show me unconditional love, no? So again, very effective yung need ng mga bata as that part of the brain develops, no? So the occipital lobe, yung surround me, so yung presence of the parents, no? So yung saliency of both the father and the mother in the life of a child. Yung touch, physical touch as a love language, no? So touch me, hug me, hold my hand, massage me when the parietal lobe is developing from birth to 6 years, no? Yun yung sa touch part, yung language, no? So yung engagement, the interaction with the kids, no? So talk to me, sing to me, listen to me, and respond. Yung 3 to 12 years old, no? So yung encouragement or yung words of affirmation, no? So it's very important, no? So at that particular stage. And even during the teenage years, no? So up to 22 years, the last part of the brain, yung prefrontal cortex, yung executive part of the brain, no? So meron pa rin siyang affective need, no? So sabi dito, give me choices when I'm calm, no? So teenager to. Talk to me about plans, no? So kailangan nila, they have a need for engagement, no? To be involved. Let me make plans, help me break down big tasks into little steps, no? So yeah. So that's the third concept. And then the fourth one, this is based on our pastoral experience and courage, no? So when we share about our struggles, eventually the members of courage discover ano ba yung underlying issues, no? So behind the homosexual struggles, no? So ito yung mga common issues: parent issue, lack of affirmation, gender insecurity, sexual abuse victim, victim of bullying, social maladjustments, and lack of role models, lack of positive male and female role models in our lives, no? So yung tamang balance, no? For example, a father hindi pwedeng super rigid or super lenient, or hindi rin pwede yung mga absentee father, whether physically absent, no? Yung mga sa kabilang bahay, no? So or yung mga emotionally absent father, and that also goes for the mother, no? So and so on and so forth, no? So itong mga underlying issues of the members of courage that come out from during our sharing meeting has everything to do with guardianship, no? So parang they are concerns on guardianship. So and then finally, yung fifth concept will be the model of Erik Erikson. Ito yung psychosocial development. So according to his theory, lahat tayo meron tayong crisis, no? So there's a tension at every stages in our lives, no? So for the infant to 18 months, there is that trust versus mistrust, no? So na tension, no? So yung infants, kapag umiyak ba ako, nandyan yung magulang ko to come to my aid? Do I trust them enough to come to my aid, or they are delayed, no, or whatever, no? So then therefore I will have mistrust, or I will develop mistrust. 18 months to 3 years, yung autonomy versus shame and doubt, no? So given enough space, no, to autonomously discover things, or masyadong guardiado yung parents ko na parang sobra silang correcting, no, so that it develops shame and doubt in me. 3 to 5 years, ganun pa rin yung initiative versus guilt. no? So when I take the initiative, no, if I fail, no, so guilt trip pa ako ng parents ko, no? So there's that crisis. And then 5 to 13 years, that in this industry versus interiority. And then yung 13 to 21 years is yung identity versus role confusion, no? So many teenagers naturally go through this, no? So ito yung natural crisis, no? So at this particular age, no? We should not be surprised that they are questioning, no, this particular point, no? So during my time, or maybe our time, if you are my contemporaries, no, so we used to call this as identity crisis stage, no, yung teenager phase, no. So it's quite normal to be confused, even to experiment or to test and to determine parang sino ba talaga ako, no. So siguro what complicates things now is that aside from the Christian understanding of the human person and your Christian identity, there is that gender ideology that proposes something different, no, to the teenagers of today. But also key point about Erik Erikson's model is that ano siya, no, parang building blocks, no. So yung identity versus role confusion is a crisis, and how that is solved is born out of how the previous crises were also solved, no? So meron ba siyang trust issue? Meron ba siyang shame and doubt? Meron ba siyang guilt? Meron ba siyang inferiority, no? So all the previous crises na unresolved has a capacity to affect, no? So yung crisis during this stage, yung identity versus role confusion. Alright. So aside from yung identity, yung sense of identity, child of God, yung divine filiation nga, no? So that can address the thought error, no? So knowing all these, at least yung tong five concepts that we just covered, no? So if we really want to truly guide and help, no, people who abide by this thought error, so we recommend that we approach it, no? 5 concepts that are introduced tell us how, no? So yung manner of addressing it. So it can be summed up with a heart-to-heart approach. Heart-to-heart, no? So we have to approach them, those who abide by such thought errors, we have to approach them by heart to affect a change of heart. No? Kailangan, kasi nga, like the iceberg, the more substantive need and clamor of persons, of LGBTQ plus person is affective in nature. No? So to cause that conversion, to cause that conversion that will correct the thought error, so we have to consider hard approaches. So, yeah. All right. So before I end, I'd like to promote lang Courage. No? So this is our Facebook page, all capital Courage Philippines. No? So if you will not be able to parang ask question, no? So these are my contact details. So this is my mobile number, and then also my email address, edwin.courageous@gmail.com. Courage Apostolate also already has what we call as the Encourage Apostolate. No? So yung Courage is support group for persons with same-sex attraction and gender identity concern, whereas yung Encourage naman is a support group for those persons whose loved ones are LGBTQ plus persons. So we're talking about parents, siblings, friends, no? So sometimes spouses themselves. No? So they also need support, no? And the church also cares for them, no? For their needs, no? So, and desires to accompany them. So ito po yung Encourage Apostolate. No? So ito po yung Facebook page na Encourage Philippines. And then finally, ito po yung YouTube podcast. No? So the CBCP Media Office decided to churn out Catholic content, and they wanted to churn out Catholic content on this matter. So they requested me to host a podcast. No? So sabi ko lang sa kanila, okay, I can do this, but I don't want it to be yung typical fire and brimstone catechism approach. No? So I wanted this to be a listening podcast. No? So let's actually listen to the journeys of people with same-sex attraction as they navigate their faith. No? So in and through their same-sex attraction. So you can find it in Faith Watch TV. The podcast po is Be Not Afraid.